to listen to the Lap Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 289 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Hope you all are having a great week. It is a rare Thursday posting of the Lap Traffic Podcast, which means two things. One, it's got to be a damn good reason to be doing a Thursday show this late in the week, which if you saw on Twitter, it's a very good reason. And that is because the legendary Steve Letarte is going to be on the show here a little later, which is awesome. I mean, what a perfect time to get Steve on to talk about all of the things going on as we wrap up the regular season this week. I am amped to talk to Steve here in just a little bit. Let's see. There's so much going on. It's been a minute. It's great to be behind the mic. Before I get into everything, real quick, as you guys know, as I mentioned, we're wrapping up the regular season this weekend, and anything can happen in Daytona. Experience the thrills, the drama, the acceleration, all on NBC. The last chance to qualify for the playoffs continues this Saturday night, August 27th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC and Peacock TV. Yes, that's right. We are well beyond due for a night race. So I am pumped that we're getting a Saturday night Daytona race to set the playoff grid and also to set the playoff grid for Lap Traffic Fantasy. So I am beyond pumped, as you can tell, to get things going. And I also, if you are in the Daytona area, want to go to the race and don't have tickets, but you can get there. You just need to get through the gate. The first person to hit me up, I may have a pair of tickets to be able to give you. So there's that. There's no tweets. There's no nothing. It's who's listening and who's listening in the Daytona area or that can get to the Daytona area and needs a pair of tickets to Saturday night's race. You just let me know. Be the first to let me know. And to do that, just fill out the contact page on the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. First person to do that, I think I can hook you up. So there's that. Okay. It's been a minute since I've posted. Took last week off. Took Lindsay and Alden on our Lindsay and I do an annual trip to Mackinac Island, but it was our first family trip, which was awesome. And it was not a vacation by any stretch, but it definitely was an adventure, as I'm sure all you first-time parents can relate to the first time you headed out of town with your first kid for the first time. How many bottles do you bring? How many diapers do you bring? How much extra clothes? And what made this more of a unique situation is that Mackinac Island, for those that don't know, it's about a 15-minute ferry ride from Mackinac City, which Mackinac City is at the very tip of Michigan. So once you're on the island, you're kind of on the island because the ferry rides aren't cheap. There's no motor vehicles allowed. It's all horses and bikes, which give its charm, along with the smell of horse shit. That is no joke, But it's awesome. Lindsay and I have been going up there every year for a long time, and it was so cool to be able to take Alden. He started rolling over while we were up there, which is awesome. I cannot believe he's got his 6-month checkup tomorrow. So that's what we've been up to, and got some football drafts coming up. We got one tonight, as well as the last week of my golf league is tonight. So I will be drafting while golfing. That'll be fun, and hopefully be able to get out one or two more times before the year is over as well. So that's what's going on in my life outside of work and podcasting and all that good stuff. Hope you checked out a couple weeks ago, Joey Logano on the show. That was awesome. Make sure if you're listening on your headphones that you've got both the left and right in. I was using a travel recorder, so Joey only comes through on one of the sides. So make sure you got both earbuds in if you haven't listened and you want to go listen. So definitely go do that. Like I said, Steve Letarte's going to be on. As you've loaded the show, you've probably noticed it's a little lengthy, and that is because Studwell and I, we've been doing it, we think 4 years now, our annual Big Ten football and Michigan football breakdown and preview, and just had some fun talking football for about a half an hour, which is great. Every once in a while I catch some flack about stick to NASCAR, and I'm like, well, but I love football and I enjoy talking about it. So there's that in the mix. I'll tell you when to fast forward if you need to fast forward. So once you get to that, if you don't want to listen, you'll hear me say fast forward, and it's about 30 minutes, so you can fast forward there. So also got Lucky Dog lap down picks, and of course lap traffic fantasy to close it out. So all right, let's get things rolling. You hear him each week on NBC. Let's get things rolling. Let's get Steve Letarte back on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me back on the line, making his fourth appearance on the show. His name is stamped in NASCAR history. He sat up top the box for Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr. He's got wins. He's got top fives. He's got top tens. And for the last 6 years, we've had the pleasure of listening to his call on NBC. Welcome back to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Steve Letarte. Steve, what's up, man?
Man, and, just racing. It's going to be an exciting time of year, right? Regular season coming to a close, playoffs right around the corner. Just a lot of great stuff to talk about.
Man, it has been a crazy couple weeks that really kind of started at Michigan, in my opinion, really, which, by the way, great to see you in the elevator at Michigan a couple weeks ago.
It was great. I love going to Michigan. It was great running into you, and I agree. I think Michigan is when it all got turned on its head, right? I think we all thought we could have more winners, and it's always a possibility, but then Kevin Harvick kind of came out of the woodwork, and that's when it all got flipped upside down.
Absolutely, man. No doubt about it. Steve, I know it's kind of it's cliche, right? But, I mean, it's been a very interesting season. What surprised you? What shocked you? Like, what's a standout moment for you as we head into the last race of the regular season?
Well, there's so many standout moments, but I would say the one that I probably didn't have on my radar the most was Daniel Suarez winning at Sonoma.
Sure. And
winning in kind of dominant fashion, right? Just closing out those laps and going to victory lane. I look at the rest of the winners. I could, Cindric was a surprise, but at Daytona, you can see surprises. I think Suarez's just domination out there at Sonoma, the pace he had was really impressive. That and the lack of wins from Truex and Blaney, I think, are the other two big surprises. I think everybody would have had Truex with a win by now. He doesn't have one, and now we go to Daytona, and I won't say anyone can win, but I think the amount of teams that can win, the list is longer than most any other track. So, I think it's going to be an exciting finale for the regular season.
Absolutely. Steve, from a fan perspective, it's been a blast. I know a lot of the show listeners that tune in each week, we're dying to get to 17 winners in a regular season. We're sitting here with 15 with one more to go. In your opinion, as a former crew chief, do you think we saw 15, maybe 16 different winners this season, strictly because it was the first year with the new car and not everyone has a notebook? From the crew chief side of things, what's your opinion on the number of winners and the amount of parity that we saw in 2022?
So I think there's a few different ingredients. The car is obviously probably the biggest. The lack of information with the car, the lack of knowledge on how to make mid-race adjustments. But I also wonder, I don't know if that's just it. I also think that, the cars have more parity than ever. You always, the cars run a lot of the same components, and I never want to say the cars are the same because they are not. We still have fast cars and slow cars, but the difference is in years past, if you knew exactly what your competitor had, it still may not help you because you may not be able to build that component or have that adjustment within your car. Now, if you just pay attention and look across the garage area and you see somebody bolting something upside down, right side up, inside out, you can chase them. You can follow that lead because everyone has the same opportunities. So I think that was a big part of it. I question if the style of driver that this car takes isn't some of it as well. And then the third part that I don't think people are talking about is the business model of NASCAR and the charter model, I think, is just continuing to add depth to the field. When I look at the field, say 3 years ago, I think 25th or 26th was a pretty obtainable goal by anybody entering the race. And now when we see the green flag in most every race with the 36 charter cars, it takes a full effort to run 33rd or 32nd. I mean, there are no gimmies anymore. There's no gifts. And I think the depth of ownership is spectacular for the race fan, but I also think that's some of the parity. I think Trackhouse, 2311, those two new teams on the scene, now a couple years old, but, they're proving that they can win. And as they win, they're taking wins away from the big teams, and that's some of the parity we're seeing.
Absolutely, and not to mention, throw Colleague Racing into the mix too. Once they get another season or two under their belt, we know what they've done in the Xfinity Series. I would just imagine that that's going to just add to that depth that you're talking about there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Colleague, the biggest thing I see is that their full-time driver, Justin Haley, I think is having actually a really remarkable. It's not his rookie year, but it's his first full-time year in a car that I think has consistent equipment, right? So I believe that he is having a very impressive, quiet year. So as he gets more and more confident, I think he'll just move farther and farther up the grid. And then there's a lot of rumors of what could happen in the second car, right? Will A.J. Allmendinger go in at full-time? We're hearing whispers that, Kyle Busch is unsigned. Will he end up in Colleague's second car? At the end of next year, there's even more drivers kind of moving around and seats opening up. So I really think that's the big story for the next 18 months is where all the drivers that we currently have go and the ones that retire, who fill those seats.
Absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned AJ, back-to-back P2s this weekend, Kyle Larson sweeping the weekend. The Glen gave us a little bit of everything, Steve. We raced on both tires, racing throughout the entire race in both races. When we look at some of the standouts outside of Larson and all that, what were some things that stood out to you this past weekend?
Well, just the overall speed of the two Hendrick cars, the 9 and the 5. I mean, they were head and shoulders above the field on Sunday. I thought that really stood out. I expect the cars to find some advantages, but those cars look different, and they look different both on the racetrack, and they look different when you look at the time chart. They had remarkable speed. I think that Michael McDowell showed his impressive road course ability in the wet by driving out to about a 10-second gap over those Hendrick cars, although Tyler Reddick chased him out there pretty good. I thought the 34 also called one of the best races with his transition to dries and then a little gas only. And I think that that's the biggest thing I think I was surprised by is just the variety of opportunity there starting in the wet. I love the fact that, NASCAR is committed to these wet tires. It's okay that we can't run in pouring down rain. I don't think anybody wants to do that. I don't want the fans to sit out there in the pouring down rain. So the big difference is when the rain stops, we can put cars on the racetrack. We don't have to wait another 2 hours for that place to dry. I question if we didn't have rain tires, I don't know if we get that race in because that place takes a long time to dry just using jet dryers and air tightens. So that was a big surprise. And then, the depth of field was a big talking point going in. I was not surprised to see the results the way they were. I hate that Kenny got in the accident. I think he was going to run somewhere right around 20th, which is where I thought he probably would end up. But, the depth of field, like I said, I think our NASCAR stars are very, very good. But I think the positive sign of NASCAR is some international stars want to come join the mix.
Absolutely. It just adds to the crossover, which is great from a fan perspective. I don't think anybody would argue that for sure. Steve, all right, I got to ask you again from the crew chief side of things. You've been there as far as Chase and Larson having some disagreements there, if you will, post race. How do you coach your driver, your team? If you're Mr. H, how do you reel everybody back in heading into the playoffs after, the ending that we had at the Glen?
Well, we already heard from both Chase and Kyle Larson at that Martinsville test, and I think you're already hearing the right sound out of both of them that, Kyle might have been, could have been maybe a little bit more respectful, and maybe Chase should have expected a little less out of his teammate. When I go back and watch the restart, I think Chase could have done a better job getting down in the corner. I think Kyle could have done a little better job not locking up his tire and kind of running the teammate up. But in the end, it wasn't super egregious. It looked like a pretty fair game move. If they weren't teammates, I don't think anybody would have even questioned it. It wouldn't even been a conversation. It would have been a pass for the win. And because of that, I think that Chase, and he said it himself, he didn't have any comments about Kyle Larson. He said what he needed to do better, what his team needed to do better. I think that's Chase Elliott. That's what makes him a champion. That's what's probably going to make him a champion again in his career. And when I rewatched the restart, really the only surprising thing for me at Watkins Glen was Chase's frustration after the race. I didn't think what Kyle did was super egregious. And I think if Chase could go back and do it again, he would probably be a little more aggressive and race his teammate a little bit harder. And I think the race fans should applaud that. The last thing we want is two guys at the front of the field, handing out participation ribbons and helping each other to victory lane. We want to see two superstars battling it out. And that's what we saw. So, I've seen worse. I've seen more upset drivers. It's a little bit of a talking point, but I have a sneaky suspicion that Mr. Hendrick and Jeff Gordon have got that behind them very, very quickly, as they should, because I expect these two are going to continue to race against one another very deep into the playoffs.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Speaking of playoffs, Steve, NASCAR put out a tweet today that Kurt Busch is going to miss the start of the playoffs. Obviously want Kurt to get as healthy as possible to be able to get back into the car. But from a playoff perspective, do you know what happens with his playoff spot based on our current system? How that will have implications?
Well, from what I understood, and I've read all the releases, this really all kind of hangs on what Kurt decided to do. So Kurt has accepted that he's not going to be back in the car. So he then removes his application for a medical waiver. And what that basically triggers is, as soon as he doesn't start the Daytona race on Saturday night, he's no longer a playoff eligible driver because he hasn't attempted every race. He had a medical waiver, which is what they applied for after the Pocono accident.
Yep.
But when he removes that waiver, he now is no longer eligible. It's no different than if AJ Allmendinger would have won a week ago, right? He's not eligible as well.
Sure.
So that means that if you remove Kurt Busch, that puts Brian Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. in the last two spots. So, if you're Truex, you were just given a really big gift, right? Because now you were on the outside looking in. Now you're instantly in the last spot. Now, if I know Martin Truex Jr., he isn't going to love the fact that that's how he got the last spot. He's probably going to feel for his veteran, opponent in Kurt Busch and hope for him to get back in the race car. But he's just going to take what's been given to him, which is the last spot. Now his goal is to not be eliminated with a new winner, right? He needs to either get in front of Ryan Blaney on points or win the race himself to assure that he won't be eliminated. Because if he's behind Blaney in points and, Brad Keselowski wins the race, then Truex went from out to in to out in about a 24-hour period. That would be a lot of movement.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. So that kind of leads into I'll wrap it up a little bit with you is, could NASCAR have created a more perfect fitting last stretch of races here? Michigan, the big 2 mile track, to the short track at Richmond, to the Glen, to wrap it up at the super speedway, to let anything happen, it's not like we're going to Kansas to where we could, have a pretty good idea of who's going to win. We are going to Daytona to where we could get a spoiler here at this last one. I'm absolutely pumped for Saturday night racing at Daytona.
Yeah, listen, there's no better place to start and end the regular season. I think moving Daytona off the 4th of July was a spectacular move. I've talked to businesses down in Daytona, as crazy as it is. They're thankful the race isn't in the 4th anymore because they can fill their hotels and their restaurants just with the holiday. And now there's a race in early September or late August that they get to fill their hotels and their restaurants again. So it's great for the community of Daytona. I think it's great for the NASCAR fan. It's great for the teams because now every team feels like they have a chance. It is a great situation. The Kurt thing I hated to hear today. I was really looking forward to giving Kurt his due in the playoffs as a longtime veteran of the sport, winning a race and requalifying for the playoffs. I was excited to talk about how impressive his career had been. I hate that we don't get to do that, but I'm glad all the mechanisms are in place that that we don't have to talk about the what ifs and the rules and the special circumstances, because, it's really black and white in my mind that, once he removes his application, he's actually removing himself from the playoffs. Now it's who can race their way in. And, man, if you look at the guys that are currently outside the playoffs but in the top 30 in points that have a win at Daytona, it's a long list, right? Eric Almirola's on the list. Brad Keselowski's on the list. I mean, Ryan Blaney's in the playoffs. He won this race a year ago. So there are many guys. Bubba Wallace has not won at Daytona, but he's finished second in the last 2 Daytona races. So there's a lot of drivers you can make a very solid case for that they could win and upset everything.
Absolutely. Crazy to think, man. We've got an interesting last 11 races here coming up for the season. Steve, man, this is a blast. Thank you so much for coming back onto the show. Where can everybody keep up with you on social media? Any plugs, anything like that you want to do?
Yeah, as always, I'm always on Instagram and Twitter, just at Steve Letarte. Tweet me, let me know what you're thinking. I love to engage the fans. The fans have been great this year. The racing's been great. And then, most importantly, just tune in and watch, right? We've had this transition to USA. The fans have found the racing. The ratings have been great. All day Friday from Daytona will be on USA. That's Cup qualifying, Xfinity qualifying, and the Xfinity race. But don't miss the transition. When we move to Saturday, we go from USA to big NBC, which also gives the fan the option to stream it on Peacock. So Saturday on NBC, Friday on USA, tune in. It's going to be great. Regular season finale for the Cup. We still have a few more weeks at Xfinity. That's pretty interesting as well. See if Sheldon Creed can find his way into the playoffs. So a lot of storylines, a lot of activity. There's nothing like the high banks of Daytona. I'm excited to travel down there and get going.
Absolutely. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, huge thanks to Steve Letarte for calling in and setting it up perfectly to end the regular season this weekend. Steve, it's been a blast. Look forward to the next time, man. Enjoy the rest of the season, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. We'll see ya. Oh, Lap Traffic Nation. How cool was that? Steve Letarte. Love talking to him. Just a wealth of knowledge, always got high energy, which I think you guys know. I've got some high energy, so it just makes for a great interview there. And very interesting about Kurt Busch and how that will all play out there. I mean, like Steve said, it's not like Martin Truex Jr. wants to get in under this quote unquote provisional, if you will, with Kurt Busch. He'll take it, right? Because what if he gets hot? It's possible. Who would have thought Kevin Harvick was going to go pick up back-to-back wins? It happened. Martin Truex Jr. could very well go out there, win the first race of the playoffs, and, get on a heater. Same thing could be said about Kevin Harvick. And Steve also brought up the point of, Martin Truex Jr. needs 2 things to happen, either him to win or a repeat winner, one of the 15 that have already won, to guarantee his spot into the playoffs there. Anything crazy else happens, then like Steve said, he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out, which, man, that's crazy emotion right there for sure. So definitely looking forward to seeing what happens there. Definitely hope the best for Kurt Busch to continue to heal, get better, and get back in the race car. Definitely, he's going to want to come back with some unfinished business and definitely make a statement once he is able to get back into the car. I wonder at this point, since he is kind of withdrawing himself there, is he just going to, maybe sit out the rest of the season, not take any chances? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't blame him or anything like that. We all know the seriousness of concussions from the NFL side of things, from Dale Jr. and the research and stuff like that he has done. So we will we'll see what happens there with Kurt, and definitely interested to see what happens now from the playoff picture with Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr. Those are the 2 that all eyes are going to be on, and any possible spoiler Saturday night. It's going to be awesome. I've never been so excited for a Daytona race outside of the Daytona 500 as I am for this weekend. That much I can tell you without a doubt. All right. Well, Steve and I covered a lot there, and there's just a couple other things I want to touch upon. Trucks, we still got a minute before the playoffs pick back up with them, September 9th at Kansas. Didn't talk too much about the Xfinity race there. Kyle Larson sweeping road course. You don't hear that too often. You think of sweeping, you're thinking, Kyle Busch at Bristol. You're thinking maybe at Michigan with somebody in a truck. So to sweep Xfinity Cup at a road course, that's pretty cool. Talked about Dinger for a little bit there with Steve, and we they've got a couple more races to go here before things all get said and done. We kind of now have a little bit of a points battle. Landon Castle has fallen out of the top 10 there. Sheldon Creed sitting 13th, 484 behind Ryan Sieg in 12th with 523. Maybe we got a little points battle there. We'll see. And who knows, somebody might be able to surprise us and pick up a win here at, I'm calling it Wild Card Weekend. We got Wild Card Weekend in the NFL. I am calling this Wild Card Weekend Daytona. Playoff implications will be impacted this weekend. And I'm not sure if that's really a bold prediction or not, but that is my prediction. And then I wanted to bring up Matthew Kendrick at CH9SE fan. He's been following a long time, listening for a minute, which is awesome. Appreciate you. He sent a question or a comment, wanted my comments on it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm saving that for the show because it's been a minute since I've talked about it. And some of my opinion has changed. Some of it hasn't. And he put out on a tweet, that only Cup rookies should get a double duty pass. After the stripes come off, pick a series, run it. No more screwing with Xfinity truck points and no more free practice quotes for the Cup guys. So here's my take on that. A long time ago, I am 100% on board with that. We go back way old school. Well, not even way old school, but we go back to the mid 2000s when you've got Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, pulling double duty every weekend almost. I was in that same line of thinking there. And I'm like, you know what? Enough's enough. Let these guys that, because winning's everything, right? Let these guys in those series go get the wins so that can help them secure the sponsorship to get to that next level, whether it's, truck to Xfinity, Xfinity Cup, what have you. That was my big take on that. Over the years, with the podcast, getting to see a little bit more of the behind the scenes, if you will, I like that NASCAR has limited now the number of starts that these guys can have based on your seniority level in the truck and Xfinity series. I like that. And I'll tell you, I don't remember. It wasn't Michigan, but it was one of the tracks I went to a couple years ago. Kyle Busch in the media center was talking about, I want to say this might have been 2019 or 18 at Atlanta, because Kyle was going and I think he won like the 50th truck race or something like that. It was around that time. And he talked about how him running those 5 or 6 races, yes, he's going to go out there and dominate, but that helps provide and secure the sponsorship for the other 2 drivers that he had at the time. I think it was Todd Gilliland and somebody else, for them to be able to run a full season. So that was an eye-opener for me in terms of, okay, Kyle Busch, KBM provides a value having their trucks in the truck field. And so for him to go and run 5 or 6 races, to have 2 competitive trucks funded full-time for up-and-comers, I see the value in that. Now here is where in my perfect world, I like that we have limited starts. I think that's fine. Here's the one tweak that I would make Matt, you let me know your thoughts on this. I would like to see And that is, all right, we look at the Xfinity Series, right? Kyle Larson, won the race. Let's say Kyle Larson won the race. Let's say he won both stages, right? So his max points that he could have earned if he was in the Xfinity Series, 60 points, right? AJ Allmendinger finishes second, okay? And let's say he came in second in both stages, right? What I would like to see is NASCAR award the points to the top finishing Xfinity drivers. So, let's say, if Kyle Larson wins stage one and gets no points for that, obviously, right? If AJ Allmendinger finishes second but won the stage from the Xfinity Series regulars, I think he should get the 10 points and the bonus point. That's what I would like to see, so that AJ Allmendinger technically finished second, but should have gotten, the 5 playoff bonus points if he won, since he's in the Xfinity Series. To me, that's what I would like to see. I think it would stretch out and make the standings a little bit more close, if you will. I've been complaining about it for a minute here, that we really don't have a playoff bubble race in the Xfinity Series unless somebody goes out and wins at a road course outside the top 12, or maybe wins at Daytona this weekend. So that's where I'm at on that. I think that would help the parity from a points perspective, both in the truck and Xfinity Series, if we awarded stage points and bonus points, playoff points, to the highest finishing series regular finishers in both stages in the race. So that's where I'm at. Let me know if I'm crazy on that, everybody. Let me know what you think there. So, all right. I think Steve and I covered the cup side of things pretty well there. Let's keep pressing on, and let's do a little Lap Traffic social media. Everybody, make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lap Traffic PC. Yes, we're making TikToks. Go check them out. Having some fun with that. If you've made it this far into the show, leave a review, iTunes, Podbean, or your favorite hosting site. Tell your friends, all that good stuff. Make sure you're following at Atlanta Racing and at the Throwback Brand for awesome giveaways. I'll have a giveaway here in a little bit. I did one a couple weeks ago, which was awesome. Got some new follower shout outs. The Furies at the Fury 6, Marine Corps vet. Thank you for your service, sir. Fantasy Racing Cheat Sheet at Fantasy Racing CS. Go check them out for your edge on daily fantasy betting. You all know I'm a big fan of the gambling there. Chris Thayer at Chris_Thayer44, NASCAR fan from Cleveland. And Rick Ware Racing. Yes, the at Rick Ware Racing gave the podcast a follow, which is awesome there. Don't forget, I've got stickers and koozies for you for free. All you have to do is fill out the contact page on the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, and I will get those sent out to you, no problem. And don't forget, anything can happen in Daytona. Experience the thrills, the drama, the acceleration, all on NBC. The last chance to qualify for the playoffs continues on Saturday, August 27th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC and Peacock TV. So make sure you are tuning in. I will be tuning in. Cannot wait. I think Lindsay's going out Saturday night, and Alden and I, we're gonna hang out and we're gonna watch some racing for sure. All right, let's get to the Dr. Aaron Studwell. Let's get to some weather, and let's get to some Big Ten football. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line. You can follow him on Twitter at RaceWeather, along with Brian Newdorf at NASCAR_WXMAN, the all-knowing, all-predicting from the University of Michigan. It's Mr. Aaron Studwell. Sir, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. And yourself?
I am good. I am excited. We talked about it a couple weeks ago when you were on, that our next time together was going to be the Michigan/B1G preview that we have. It's become an annual staple as of late here these last few years with us, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But we'll do NASCAR stuff first for those that are here for the NASCAR part of the podcast, if you will.
Yeah, it is called lap traffic for a reason. But yes, we both do enjoy some good football talk.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, let's dive in. Watkins Glen, man, crazy Sunday. Saturday, not as bad. But what'd you think of everything?
I thought both days were good racing. I thought, I'm glad the Lightning moved out. That was a bit of a surprise when the first strike was within 2 miles of the track. But that moved out a little bit later start. There were some current concerns about, hey, we're getting to within 30 minutes of sunset, 45 minutes of sunset here. I thought the racing was good. And, post race and today, Sports Talk Radio, I think a lot of manufactured outrage.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you couldn't have asked for any more unpredictability, if you will, with 2 races to go in the regular season. You had McDowell out there. You had a few people out there that were strong at times, obviously not at the end. But it definitely added to it. You throw in the rain, you throw in the fact that we ran both tires, the slicks, the moist tires, and all of that, if you will. So it just added to the chaos as we wrap things up here this coming week at Daytona.
Well, it's exactly how they've scheduled it to be. It's exactly what they wanted. They want a product to be out there that, I don't want to use the term unpredictable, because to see Michael McDowell out front going in stage 3 is, I wouldn't have bet against it.
No.
Now, when push comes to shove, who has a better car, Hendrick or FRM? It's going to be Hendrick, and Hendrick's going to pass him up. But it was a great outing, it was great racing by McDowell.
Absolutely.
And it was nice to see Raikkonen there until he was sacrificed at the altar of Chastain. Just like I said, manufactured outrage. And, people are going to come up and say, and I don't remember who said it in the post-race show, if Kyle doesn't race him hard there, if it starts smelling like team orders, I think people are going to be more outraged.
Yep. I mean, I love it, to be honest. I mean, it creates it creates, I don't know, a rival, so to speak, but it creates the desire, I think, for the casual fan to tune in, whether they did or didn't tune in. They've now heard about it. And I mean, what else could you expect as we head into the playoffs with, tempers flaring, not to be cliche, but it is, as this thing gets going here in a couple weeks. So I love that aspect of it. I think there's some, and even when they shifted the schedule and they put Daytona as the last race of the regular season, I was very vocal about being against Daytona being the last regular season race, just because I'm not a huge fan of that style of racing. But the last couple of years, I've bought into it, and I'm really bought into it now as we were possibly closing in on 17 different winners, because that just would have added so much chaos. I mean, obviously, can you call this, NASCAR manufacturing the product, if you will? I don't know I'd go that hard to it, but I would say that obviously NASCAR knew what it was doing with putting these last couple races together the way they were.
It's not manufacturing the outcome, but it's manufacturing the interest.
Yes.
And I don't have a problem with that. I think if you want the ratings, you want people to tune in. So now I've got a Saturday night event on one of the most historic tracks in the world. And there's a good chance if somebody hasn't won this year, that they could go to the playoffs. I mean, top 30. What more could you want?
Absolutely. Yep. And it's the track that can happen at. We've seen
exactly.
It happen, So I love that. All right.
Under the lights, can't be better.
Yes, I did not realize until I was doing the fantasy updates this week that it was a Saturday night race, because I just feel like we haven't had one in a minute. So I just assumed it was Sunday, and I am even more excited for a Saturday night race at Daytona to close this thing out. And I'm amped, and I don't get amped for Daytona and Talladega. And I'm jacked. I'm ready to tune in and see if anybody, not that there's spoiler to be played, but there could be, in terms of, if someone outside the top 16 wins, then that's, either Well, that means it's Martin Truex not making the playoffs, So
Right.
I'm excited to tune in and see what happens.
Yeah, and I think that I'll tell you, I'll be down at Virginia International Raceway for the IMSA weekend.
Awesome.
But I know where I'll be Saturday night.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. You want to knock the weather out of the way before we dive into some extreme football talk here?
That makes sense.
Yes.
Since it's a Friday night, Saturday night race, we've got two races, and let's go.
Yes. All right. What are we looking like weather-wise? August in Daytona.
Oh, surprise, surprise. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms.
Oh, wow.
Possibly. I know.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Possibly lasting in the afternoon hours. Daytime highs both days near 90. Race time temps both days near 80. Saturday looks like the chance of showers and thunderstorms will go later into the evening hours, but not much past sunset. I think that both races will run to completion, but there may be some delays in the start times.
All righty. Cool. All right. Well, there we have it. I mean, nothing anyone didn't expect. So
No, pretty straightforward.
Yes. All right. Well, Lap Traffic Nation, if you don't want to hear Aaron and I talk some heavy Michigan and Big Ten football, fast forward a bit. I can't tell you how long to fast forward, but if you're still fast forwarding and you hear Aaron's voice still, then that means we're still talking football. So, let's dive in. Yes, that is the Michigan marching band introducing what is now, I think this is, I mean, you've been on for 5 years now. Did we do it the first year too? You were on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
No, because I know the one year, I think the year we actually kicked this thing off, Matt Tifft was on to
Yes.
throw in some Ohio State in the mix there. And, we all know what happened last year with Ohio State. So we'll see. All right.
Well, and that'll be towards the end of the segment. So.
Yes. All right. Before we get into the weekly pick'ems here in our preview of the schedule, what are you excited about? What are you nervous about? Where's our gaps? Where's our strengths and weaknesses this year?
Well, the first issue I had written down is like, is this the first year in a long time where we're saying, is Harbaugh's job in jeopardy?
Right. No, we're not, so that it's interesting you say that, because I wonder if we're going to be talking about that next year. We had all of the speculation after Big Ten championship game, national, the playoffs and all of that. Harbaugh, what was it, Minnesota he interviewed for?
Yeah.
So,
the Vikings listeners.
Yeah.
The Vikings.
Yes, for the Viking fans out there. How long will we, is this just going to be a yearly thing? Because it's been a yearly thing that, Harbaugh's leaving. He's done. He's going to go, he's going back to the NFL. Oh, this year, really? He's going, no. We mean it this year. He's going back to we've heard that the last 4 years, so.
I want to sit here with my rose-colored glasses on. I guess maybe my maize-colored glasses. And I'm going to say this is going to be a year where he's not going to be looking at an NFL position at the end of the season, that he's going to say, okay, I'm not going to give away my outlook, but, we're going to a postseason game. We've had a great season. I want to be here in Ann Arbor. And I think that's ultimately what he has to ask himself, because he shouldn't be sitting around the end of every season saying, do I want to be in Ann Arbor for another year? It should be, it should just, maybe at some point he gets tired of it, maybe, but I hope not in the next 5.
Right.
I want to see him stay around. I want to see, as long as he's successful and as long as he's putting together a good program, clean program, as much as anybody has a clean program these days.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, and it's two things you brought up there. One, successful, and 2, clean program. We all know what the debacle went down with Saban and the allegations between him and I can't remember the other school, a couple months ago or whatever that was.
Texas A&M. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. NASCAR, right? If you're not cheating, you're not winning, and if you're not cheating, you're not trying to win, kind of thing. And from a college football perspective, that's really kind of what it boils down to. How can you manipulate and stretch things to get the recruits to want to come, and it boils down to, should they be paid? Should they not be paid? Should, donors be able to contribute towards the, all of this, that plays a factor, no doubt, in recruiting and where players want to go. So I guess, how much are you okay with things being stretched?
Well, I don't want to see. Okay, the NIL rules and the pay player rules, I think they're going to get sorted out. What I think is going to happen with that's going to be is the football is going to be moved under a new jurisdiction, and and I've read that over the last couple of days.
Okay. When do you think that'll happen?
They're saying 24.
Okay.
24, 25.
And
so
that's right when the Big Ten's looking, or that's when the conferences are kind of looking to do their shuffle too, isn't it?
Right. The conferences will do their big shuffles. The football contracts or the broadcast contracts for the playoffs are up, and maybe at the time you add 4 teams and make it 8. I don't see.
Because there's no point. Like, and man, this is what I wanted to do, is get off on tangents. There is absolutely zero purpose, in my opinion, behind the bowl games from a fan perspective. I get it. I get the money draw. But because of the fact of the bowl games really don't mean much anymore, unless you make the playoffs. You've got so many players sitting out to avoid risking injury, which I totally get. Like, why would you go play in the, whatever Fiesta Bowl to go risk injury when that could impact your draft stock and a payday? Like, that is a no-brainer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I see that for some seniors, and I see that's their option, that's their right. But if you have here I'm going to come in defense of the bowl system. One, if you can integrate some of the bigger bowls into the playoff system, that's great. Now, I don't even think it's a cherry. It's the Motor City Bowl,
right.
Little Caesar Motor City Bowl.
Yeah.
There may not be a need for that, but I think there's good rewards in having these bowl games where the teams that have good seasons, maybe having 30-something, 40 bowls, and not having enough eligible teams.
Right? Like, what does that tell you?
We have too many bowls. I'll agree with that, but maybe you go back to 20 bowls.
Sure.
And we don't have to play a bowl in the Bahamas. We don't need to play a bowl in Fenway Park
part of that's like a reward
Stadium.
to the students, like to go get to see a.
You mean the student athletes or
exactly.
100% that.
Yeah.
I 100% that is a reward to the team for a good season, that you're going and doing something. Some of my best memories growing up are being part of the Michigan football program were from the bowls.
Sure. Yeah, no, for sure. All right, let's. The other thing you had mentioned there was success in relation to Harbaugh. What determines a successful year this year? Because if they don't, and this is where it gets tricky, because Harbaugh's taken so much flack over the last couple of years. Obviously, last year was a successful season. Does he have to get back to the Big Ten championship game for this to be considered another successful year for Jim Harbaugh?
No.
I am with you.
I think double-digit wins.
Yes.
Because the path to the Big Ten championship game this year goes through Columbus.
Yes.
Next year goes through Ann Arbor.
Yes.
So it's just the way the Big Ten East is going to be until that gets structured out itself. And I know there's been talk about changing games in conference, and maybe it's not. I know the Pac-10's or Pac-12, 16, 14, I lose track, is going to this where it's not north-south anymore. You're going to play north-south, but it's the best 2 teams in the conference. Okay. Now, that may wind up still being a Michigan-Ohio State thing, but then you could say the best 2 teams in the conference are Michigan and Ohio State. Whoever, you could have a back-to-back game where it's the regular season finale and then I think a week off, and then you go play the conference championship game. and it may be Michigan, Ohio State again. If it really comes down to saying these are the best two teams, whether you look at overall, look at conference record, then you look at overall record, then you bring in some other metrics.
Sure. Like, so I could possibly get behind that. I think before I would want to go to that, I'm good with that if they don't restructure the East and West. If and you would think they'd have to with an expansion, right? Like they'd have to redraw some lines here.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because you'll have to put UCLA and USC in the West, and you're going to move two West teams east.
Yes. Yeah. So, just thinking out loud, is Illinois West or East?
I believe they're
West, right? So you're either maybe looking at Illinois, Wisconsin.
You'd want to keep it balanced. I wouldn't want to say Illinois from a football standpoint. I wouldn't want to say Illinois Northwestern.
No. You're right. You want to keep some form of balance there, which is what's been, one of my biggest gripes is that you've got the top three schools performance-wise over the last couple of years in the same conference in Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State, and even throw Penn State in that mix. Like you got four. Wisconsin had almost a dominant run at it the last couple of years from their division perspective, if you will.
Yeah, but that tends to rotate too. Maybe because Michigan had its down years, Ohio State's had its down years, but it's been a long time. Every team has their down years.
Sure.
So I think that tends to rotate. I wouldn't jump the gun and say, we need to realign because of imbalance. It just makes Nebraska's got to get its act together. There's some teams in the West that aren't good, but Nebraska's not. Minnesota's coming. It's on the come. It seems like.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. All right. Well, before we get to our pick'ems here, and throw in a curveball at you here too. So if I need to rant for Rumble or go on for a minute to let you pull this up, looking at the AP top 25. Is there anyone on here that's an overrank, an underrank, someone missing? What do you think from the preseason AP top 25 here?
I honestly think, and I actually had this pulled up, so
it's like we know each other so well.
Yeah. I think Notre Dame's perpetually overrated at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think maybe the big question mark they're going to have is their new head coach. I know they're excited about him. I know I'd say happy to get rid of the guy who went to LSU.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Brian Kelly.
Yep. Yes. To me, I agree. Notre Dame's probably overranked. They always seem to be in the top 10. But to play devil's advocate, I feel like, Michigan wasn't even ranked to start the season last year, I don't believe.
You were correct.
But years past, I feel like Michigan's probably gotten a namesake top 25, if you will. But I'm a little butthurt, if you will, that Michigan, as strong as they are, didn't get and hey, I understand this is so inflated here, just preseason. We don't know really anything. But for Michigan to come in 8th behind Notre Dame, who shit the bed last year, come on now.
Okay, I'm looking at the coaches poll where they're 6th, but still behind Notre Dame. But
right?
I don't see it. I don't see why Michigan is behind Notre Dame.
Yes.
I look at the top 10, and I'm going to go. This is on the coaches poll: Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan, A&M, Utah, Oklahoma, Baylor. Don't really see a reason. Maybe you could go make an argument for Baylor over Oklahoma,
sure,
or Utah over Texas A&M, but I don't see anybody there who says, "Oh my God, why are they there?" The first one that I say to, "Oh my gosh, why are they there?" is NC State, and maybe I just don't know the ACC.
Well, so the one that was for me was, I'm very curious about Cincinnati, right? Because Cincinnati spent almost the entire season in 4th last year, right? Or am I wrong? And
that sounds right.
And they're sitting at 23rd. They didn't play anybody in the regular season, and I just feel like if you've got a cakewalk schedule, like that should impact your ranking to a degree. And I just don't feel, and I know it does a little bit, but I just don't feel like it's like once you get up there, it's almost impossible to jump somebody. If everybody's winning that weekend, you know what I mean? Like you lose, no questions asked. But if you win, right, once you're up there, it's hard to get jumped if you're winning.
So here's where I'm a little confused on what you're saying. Okay, we agree that Cincinnati was number 4 last year, made the college football playoffs, may or may not have deserved to be there. They beat who they were supposed to beat. They beat the teams that were ahead of them.
Yes.
Final.
Yes.
Polls we're looking at, I've got them at 22. You've got them at 23. Do you think they should not be receiving votes at all?
No.
Other teams receiving votes, I should say.
I'm just speaking, in a general sense from last year. Like, I think there were teams that had a stronger strength of schedule, if you will, that could have had that number 4 seat and maybe changed some things a little bit.
That's true. That's true. But how do you? But also we got to the point where it winds up being really equation based. That a lot of this becomes metrics. In eye test, they were beating who they had beat. They were undefeated. They did what they had to do, and I think it's good for them to have the opportunity to go play in the playoffs. And maybe it'll be a different team this year. I mean, I'm looking here, and who could come in? Who could come in as a shocker this year? Well, I think you have to go to the AAC teams for that, where it is a Houston or in the past couple of years, it's been a USF or a UCF.
Yep.
That kind of come in and they're going to go 10-1. They lost a non-conference game at South Carolina or right. Clemson, where they're playing a conference, or they're playing an in-state rival, because they've got 3 good in-state rivals that could stand up against them.
Sure. Funny thing, when I pulled up the rankings for the first time, I thought I was looking at the basketball rankings, because there's a lot of basketball schools in this top 25.
Yeah, it does kind of harken to a little bit of old school on this one too. You've got Baylor. Look at the Big 12 teams. You've got 3 Big 12 teams sitting on the coaches poll at 9, 10, and 11.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What do you say, sir? Shall we dive into some picks here?
We can do that.
Right.
I look forward to it.
All right. We are kicking off the season here in just 2 weeks. We are opening at home. All right. So first of all, and this is where things are going to get interesting. And before we get started in this, I from the last time you were on, you talked me into making some bets, because we did an impromptu run through of the Detroit Lions schedule the last time you were on. And I talked myself into making the bet for the Lions at plus 6.5 wins for the season. And I mean, spoiler, I did take Michigan's plus 9.5 wins.
I would do that.
And then I got real ballsy and I threw a third bet down and parlayed the 2. So,
okay, I'll ask. What was the third bet?
I did 100 for each, and then I think I did 50 on the parlay.
Okay. You parlayed the 2. I thought you threw a third one in.
Oh, no.
What states? What's Michigan State's 8? I would guess 8.5.
If you can talk about something, I can look that up for a second.
I can always talk about something.
You do you.
Well, yeah. Well, honestly, the biggest thing we had to talk about going into this is who's the starting quarterback.
Well,
still not decided.
That's just been Michigan's MO for a long time.
I think you and I are going to lean this. Well, I think you and I are going to lean the same way coming out of this one. That McCarthy has more upside, but McNamara has more poise and stability. He proved himself in 21.
Yes, no, I agree. And I guess my biggest thing is how long does he stick around, knowing that he is, probably going to be sitting, on the bench again.
Yeah, but this is McNamara's last year, right?
Yes.
And then one more year.
Yeah.
Dude, and we're going to get you in. Right. And honestly, you got to think, starting quarterbacks don't always have the best record staying healthy for the whole season.
That's true.
There are going to be some early games where you might even be able to put him in at halftime.
Yep. Yeah, well, the first four come to mind.
I know that's exactly. Like I don't even break the first four down.
Yeah. What? All right, and I mentioned this, and we didn't get to it. So real quick, from a strength and weakness perspective, where's the team's strengths? Where's our weaknesses?
I think the weakness. I hate to say weakness. I think the place with the biggest question marks is going to be offensive line again.
Okay.
There's going to be a bit of a shuffle. I know they're going to slot some players in. I don't think it's been a question mark in the offseason, but to me, having two new players in there, it's just you're going to have to get the rhythm down. And good preseason. Harbaugh made the comment, of course he did, that they're further ahead this season than where they were at this point last season. And
sure.
I actually have a little confidence and have some confidence in that statement. The skill position players, I think they're good. I think they're coming in with a year of more maturity. Defensive, linebackers, I think linebackers are good, not great. I think, again, graduations hit them. But I think they're going to be a very solid all-around team. They're going to be ground and pound, but they have the ability to put over the top. I think they definitely have a shot at the college football playoffs this year.
Excellent. I am with you there. I would say their biggest weakness is that, in my opinion, we'll kind of go back to what I was talking about with Cincinnati is their schedule. I mean, they've got only 4 road games, which to me that basically solidified my bet. Like, all you have to do is win at home and 2 road games, and you clear the 9.5, and
right.
That I think is doable. So, all right. Well, what do you say? You ready? Let's do this.
I'm good to go.
Well, real quick, to answer your question, Michigan State's over/under wins is 7.5, sir. 7.5.
Oof! I'd want to go take a look at their preseason schedule, the
right?
Exhibition games.
Yeah, no,
I think they should be better than that. I would think I would want to walk through it, but not today.
Right.
That's a different show.
Yes, different show. All right. September 3rd at home at the Big House. Colorado State coming to a what is this now? 100. What's the seat total? 114.
114. Something like that, yeah.
And
they keep punting the numbers closer.
Yes, they do. Michigan opening up favorite at minus 27.5.
Wow.
I think they cover that all day. They may cover that in the first half.
I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Oh, the thing that'll get interesting here is I think they cover the 27.5. It will just depend on the total is 57.5. Now, here's the total, and it's not out yet, but as we get closer, what I will be doing is, and this is a no-brainer, I will be taking the spread. I'll be taking the first half spread. I will be taking probably the first quarter spread as well, and I'll take first half over, because depending on if they open up, if it's 49-0, we know Harbaugh does like to run up the scoreboard, but I think to get to that 57, 58 mark, Colorado State's going to need to put up a few as well, and I just don't know that they're going to be able to.
Well, doing the math real quick, that would be 42-15, 42-16.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you give them 2 touchdowns late. But
and that's the thing.
I wouldn't bet on it, but I could justify it, but I wouldn't put money on it.
Yes, no, that's what I said. I'll look at the first half, and that'll look strong. All right, so I think we both got a W down there.
Yep.
All right, September 10th, Hawaii making the long trip in. And
leaving with a big check.
Yes, a huge check. That's the perk there, right? Obviously W's there, and obviously the spreads probably are going to be. I could see them being even bigger. To be honest, I could see that.
I don't know how Hawaii. I don't know enough about Hawaii. They typically have very strong line play. I'm not saying they're going to lose the game, but I could see that Michigan may try to run up the score, may not. I'm not sure how the defense is.
The only reason why I could say that, I mean, jet lag's just got to be a pain in the ass.
It is, because you wake up for a noon start and it's 5 a.m. there.
Yeah,
Boy,
and it's an 8
5
o'clock
a.m.
game
back at
too.
home.
It's a night game.
Oh, well, then it's essentially a day game for them. They get the day to adjust, but
yeah. All right. September 17th, UConn comes to town. I'll be honest, I don't know. I think I've seen more Hawaii games than I have UConn games. So.
The thing I'll say about this, I would maybe manufacture up a 1 to put in front of the scoreboard.
I love it. That would be amazing. All right. So
because I'm not sure they're going to put up 100 points, but it's going to be a romp. And this is not in the know, but this is me being cynical. This game was done as a favor to people at Connecticut because that's where Ward was AD before coming here.
Got it. Okay. All right. Interesting. Good to know there. All right. September 24th, my wedding anniversary, which Michigan played on. We did get married on a Saturday, obviously September. We got married, and we made sure. And I shit you not, when it came to picking a date, I flat out told Lindsay, I said it needs to be around a game that is going to be a meaningless game, and I am actually going to look up who did Michigan football play. Hold on, let's see here. Play on September 24th, 2011. They played San Diego State. So, yeah, that was a meaningless game. So I did good work there.
Who's the head coach? Well, okay, real quick, who's the head coach?
Oh, I'm going to go with Hoke. I think
that's what
Hoke.
I think, too,
yes.
because Hoke had come from San Diego State.
Yep. All right, so Maryland, first Big Ten game, but I've got us with a W there, sir.
Agreed.
All right, now here's where it gets interesting. Michigan's first road game, not till October 1st, headed to Iowa. I am very, very nervous about this game. I'll be honest, I don't know. I think Iowa lost quite a few seniors.
They did.
But even though they did, they have a chip on their shoulder from the ass kicking they got at the Big Ten championship game. I'm nervous about this one. What do you think?
It's going to be a grain to that one. I think it's going to be an emotional game because I can see both teams being 4-0 going into this game. It's going to be a night. I really would think it's going to be a night game. I can see Iowa being ranked by that point, although their preseason, they actually have a FCS team they're playing in one of their preseason game or non-conference games.
Same thing.
Yeah, I know. I get myself into that NFL mindset here.
Yep.
I think Michigan's going to win. It's going to be a grinded out game. I would, not knowing what the over-under is going to be, I would lean towards it being a lower scoring game.
Yes.
But yeah, I think Michigan's going to fly home with a win.
I think so too. I think this is going to be like a 16-13 kind of game right there.
That's about what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Not only is that our first road game, but we actually have back-to-back road games. October 8th, going to Indiana, sir.
Struggling Indiana team. Struggled last year. I don't see them being any better this year. Simply saying a win.
So I'm with you there. I'm going to put down the W as well. But I think this is one of the biggest win streaks for Michigan. I think they've beat Indiana some crazy amount of times in a row.
Yes.
And
yep.
one of these days, we're just going to have to take our medicine when we play Indiana. But I don't think it's this year.
It's not going to be this year. And if it didn't happen under Rich Rod or Hoke, it's not going to happen under Harbaugh.
Right. All right. We are back home October 15th against Penn State, sir.
After 2 road games, but they're going to be tired. But they do traditionally play Penn State well at home. I think after 3 close quarters, Michigan's going to pull ahead and win.
I'm with you. I am with you there. We then have our bye week, and then we welcome in-state rival, preseason ranked 15th Michigan State, sir.
And they're looking at the numbers, and I think they're only one of 2 ranked opponents we're facing right now. Now, things will change in a regular season, but Ohio State's ranked, Michigan State's ranked. They're the only 2 ranked teams we're facing.
Yes. Right? Yep.
But I think an extra week to prepare, extra week to recover after some really tough games, stretch of games. It sounds like a win to me. I think they're going to play hard, playing at home. Pretty close to Halloween weekend,
right?
Which always makes for spooky things in Michigan Stadium.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Michigan State's won the last 2, which have been, the last 2 years Michigan State's won, and they've stolen both of those. The 27-24, 37-33. We had that one one touchdown that was called back last year.
Right.
I think Michigan should be riding a 4-game win streak, but we're riding a 2-game losing streak. Michigan, I think, mollywops Michigan State this year. So.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a definitive win there. And then, honestly, the next 3 games, we can keep this a little tight.
Oh, yeah. That's Rutgers, Nebraska, Illinois. That's 3 W's there. That's a no-brainer with those 3 as far as I'm concerned.
You have nothing to add to that?
No. All right. So, I think this is a first for us that we have Michigan undefeated headed into the Ohio State game.
And I think even a bigger first for us is that we agree on every single game so far.
Yes.
Which means we're really going to fuck this up.
Right,
Sorry.
No worries. All right. Going into the shoe, November 26th, Ohio State, Michigan. I'll just say it. I think Ohio State is going to be Bama-esque this year. And yep. I think that Michigan takes their pill from last year's win, and Michigan comes away with an L on the schedule here.
I agree. I think it was one of the Rocky movies. I predict pain.
Yes, yeah, it is.
Defense has 7 graduating starters for Ohio State, but that may be a chance for them to get better. Fuel line questions, but I don't think it's going to stop them. Stroud already in the Heisman talk. I guess technically McNamara is too, but we don't even know it's his starter. But yeah, right. I think Ohio State gets the win, goes to the Big Ten championship game, Michigan. So then I would say probably, unless the West, whoever's coming out of the West is really solid, Michigan goes to the Rose Bowl.
Yes. Nope. I'm with you there. Which Michigan does not have the best record at the Rose Bowl.
No, I was part of one of those losses, so yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that regard, it's.
I would rather go there than any. If I'm not going to the playoffs.
Yes,
I want to go to the Rose Bowl. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And at that point, we're talking potentially an 11-1 season, losing on the road to Ohio State. That's just going to be a leaps and bounds. Unless some crazy injuries, things like that happen to even that matchup up, I don't think you could get too upset about that situation there. So.
No, it's a revenge match, and they're on paper, which is why we play the games, but on paper they're a better team.
Yes.
But this goes back to where we started the conversation. 11-1, you're going to the Rose Bowl, no matter how you do in a Rose Bowl. Is Harbaugh's job at risk? Does he think about leaving?
Not if they're 11-1.
Agreed.
Not if they're 11-1. Now, if something crazy happens from Michigan's side of things and we finish the season 9-3, then I think all of the normal speculation that we have seen over the last few years is right back on the table.
Right. You have something crazy happen, like Harbaugh's '84 season when he broke his arm during the Michigan State game, and then we went through 3 more quarterbacks.
Yep.
To just even get to 6 and 6.
Yep. I'm with you. All right, sir. Well, Lap Traffic Nation, if you've stuck with us this 40 minutes, which means this show is going long, I hope you enjoyed that, because we don't do that.
I will say thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Well, sir, that was fun. It's always a blast, because there's not very many people that, you can just dive deep in and break things down like that with, from a NASCAR football perspective, all of that. So that was fun. It's our annual tradition, and, I'm all about traditions. So there you go.
And I am too, and I don't say this enough. I'm glad to be part of the show, glad to be back on a regular basis, and glad to be part of the bigger team.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, brother. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, make sure you catch Aaron with all of his weather updates as we head into a potential little wet, rainy Daytona weekend here, but nonetheless, we'll get things going Saturday night. Sir, appreciate you. We'll catch you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Take care. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. We'll see ya.
Later.
Oh, Lap Traffic Nation, that was fun. If you did stick around for that, I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, I mean, Newdorf as well. We love our Big Ten college football, so that's what you've got to look forward to from now till the end of the NASCAR season, is some Michigan and Purdue, and we'll see what else we need to throw in the mix, for sure. So there's that. All right, some dogs barking there. Let's get to some lucky dog lap down picks. My lucky dog is Kyle Larson, kinda, and that's just because, hey, it's a win. Ended a little mini drought for him, but we all know what's going on over there in the HMS camp. So we'll see how long that lasts. My lap down, McDowell. I think it would have been awesome if he could have picked up the win this weekend. One, just because of the chaos I want to see within the playoffs, as far as the potential of 17 winners, that is no more. But it's a bummer. They had a good car. They were going at it, but just didn't have it there at the end. All right. Let's get to your tweeted responses. There are a lot of them, which I absolutely love. I think it's only going to get bigger as we get towards the playoffs here. So without further ado, Scott at 1985 Wagner's lucky dog is Kyle Larson, Broommaster for Hendrick Cars. Lap down, my LT Fantasy, both late restarts killed a 2-win weekend. Ouch. Yeah, Ty Gibbs burned a lot of people as well this weekend for sure. Chris at USMC _ NASCAR Fire. Lucky dog, the Xfinity race leaps and bounds better than the Cup race. The Cup tire sucked. Lap down, the Ross Chastain DGAF tour took out Kimmy, and that sucked. That's a good one. That's a funny shirt. I should make something like that for lap down lucky dogs or something. That's what I should do. I need to create a lucky dog shirt for the podcast. Oh, that might actually sell. People might actually buy that. Oh, see, now the wheels are turning. The wheels are turning on a lucky dog shirt with the Lap Traffic logo. Something. All right. Well. Okay. CJ at CJ LaPearl. Lucky dog. NASCAR handled the rain situation very well. Didn't start too soon with standing water and started with single file start. Learned lessons from Coda. Lap down, Martin Truex Jr. 2 good tracks for him the past 2 weeks, and no dice. Chances at playoffs are dwindling. Yeah, man, I was stunned. Like, you got Richmond and a road course, and didn't just like come up short. Like, we're not talking he finished 5th or something like that. I mean, just not even on the radar, which is crazy. Colin at Colin _ cars. Lucky dog to the hype this race got. Kimmy was fun to watch. The racing was great all day. Lap down to NASCAR for not starting the race in the rain. We all wanted to see it. Dave at Real David Kahn, lucky dog, Kyle Larson. If he didn't push Elliott like he did, he wouldn't have won. Lap down, Kyle Busch. I hope he soon signs somewhere so he can get back to racing like KFB, not like Bodine. Wow. Burn. Jason at JStone29. Lucky dog Larson for taking the lead against the Dinger. Lap down the panel for acting like giddy school kids when Chase took the lead for a minute. Side note, this road course hits different for NASCAR, unlike the rest of the cluster plucks they try to run and ruin like the Brickyard. Jess at Iowa NASCAR fan, Lucky Dog, Larson, different circumstances both days, but out to duel Allmendinger 2 days in a row in a road course is quite the accomplishment. Not wrong. Not wrong at all. Lap down McDowell, great run, but the golden ticket to the playoffs slipped through his fingers. Yep, you and I are on the same page there, my man. Matt at Camper News Net, Lucky Dog, NASCAR learning its lessons from Coda last year, handling the rain and standing water very well. Lap down Chase Elliott, very dominant day and couldn't get it done. Mick at GoDucks5 _ Mick, Lucky Dog, Young Money, and all the guys with Hendrick. Cars.com logo on their uniform would be big mad if Larson didn't send it. A lap down, it's 2022. I have been watching racing most of my life, and I still don't know what's going on to cause a caution in NASCAR. Oh, Mick, I love that. That's fantastic. That is great. You know, I don't know if I said this last week or not, or last time I was on, you know, but they've got the technology to tell if they've got electronic penalties basically on pit road. How can they not have electronic penalties on the track to some degree, right? Like they've got so many cameras, you know, I would think at some point, you know, you should be able to spot something. And if it fails, then boom, penalty, or caution, so to speak, you know, like, I wonder where the next generation of determining cautions is going to go, because something's got to get addressed. But maybe it doesn't. You know, that human element of it. You know, you look at football. You know, one ref's pass interference is not another ref's pass interference, and you know that's something that you just have to play around in terms of, you know, the game. You know, so that very well just might be, maybe NASCAR doesn't do anything from a next gen thing there in terms of calling a caution, and it just is the human element, and we just got to race around it. I don't know. We'll see. And last but not least, Rowdy at the Rowdy Dragon, Lucky Dog, the 5. Kyle Larson stayed in position to make it happen at the end. A lap down, Todd Gilliland's car breaks while running up front. Tough luck. All right. There you have it. Let's close this thing out with some lap traffic fantasy. Just a reminder, get your picks in by 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Check the website if you need to see who you still have available. If you need to see who you have available, keep the Twitter interaction up using hashtag LTFantasy. This is it, everyone. We are down to the last race of segment 2. Someone's going to be taking home some hardware, and I'm telling you that it's not over by a long shot. There could be some movement. We're headed to Daytona. We all know what that means. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Joining me on the line, making his first appearance on the show, but I think he's been playing in the league for a minute. It's Josh Wolfe. Josh, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Excellent.
How you? Yeah.
Welcome to the show, man. You've been playing a minute, haven't you?
This is my second year.
Second year. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the Glen this weekend?
I thought it was a pretty good race. I mean, the beginning was interesting with all the rain, and then it kind of was boring a little bit, but then the end picked it up. It was pretty good at the end.
Seems to be the MO the last few weekends, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, let's see here. You had Chase and Dinger for 92 points this week, which was solid for a week high there. You're on all of the leaderboards. You're on the top 10. You're in the bonus points, the cumulative standings, all good things there. We will run down our top 10 here. Segment 2. In first place, Pete Curvin with 1246. In second place, just 1 point back with 1245, David James. Brett Morris dropped this week. A lot of people took Ty Gibbs, and that killed a lot of people this week. That's why there's so much movement here. Brett dropped to third with 1232, but still close. Josh, you're in fourth, 1228. I mean, Anything can happen. I'm in fifth with 12:17. Henry Fletcher in sixth with 12:04. Jeff and Rob are tied for seventh with 12:03. Kristen Haglund, who is our segment 1 winner, she's up to ninth in segment 2. Eighth. Kim James in ninth. And the Blind Spot podcast wraps out our top 10 there. So that's our top 10 segment 2. Bonus points. Kristen Haglund in first with 17. David James in second with 14. Tony LeBay in third with 12. We got Brad, Henry Fletcher, Jason, Josh. Man, you got 11 bonus points that are going to carry over for you, as well as some bonus points you'll earn, which is awesome. Let's see. Brian Hall, Justin Hughes, Kyle Garrett, Logan Cummings, Mark Luddington all have 10. So nice job there. And then the cumulative standings. Kristen Haglund still in first with 24-27. I don't think she's going anywhere. She's got a commanding lead. Second place, Henry Fletcher, 23-35. Justin Hughes in third, 23-05. And here's where things are just so tight throughout the rest of the running. Just 5 points back and forth. Kim James, 2,300 even. Steven with 2290. Brett Morris in sixth, 2283. Josh, you're in seventh with 2280. Robert Riggs, 2279. David James, 2278. John Atwitzel, 2267. Lap Traffic in 11th, 2264. Studwell dropped from like 4th to 12th with 2254. Blind Spot Pod, 2253. 14th, Kevin Hahn, 2250. Jason Dickus, 15th, 2248. John Warrington, 16th, 2246. And then just to show, 17th, Matt Crowd is only 2 points back. 18th, Michael Mason, 2217. So it is anybody's game still to potentially make or fall out of the playoffs there, sir. You've had a pretty solid season all the way around. How'd you finish in segment 1?
I think I was about 30th. It wasn't my greatest, but I think I picked it up towards the end of segment 1 and then just carried it right into segment 2.
Excellent. I love it. All right, man. Well, what do you say? You ready to make some picks?
Let's do it.
All right, Lap Traffic Fantasy. We are headed to Daytona, where we know things are going to get wild. Truex, Blaney, Jones, McDowell, Haley, Brad Keselowski, all looking for their first win and their last shot to lock themselves into the playoffs, and all have success at the big super speedway at Daytona. Who will be able to survive the carnage and the big one as they look to lock themselves into the playoffs? And who will lock themselves into the Lap Traffic playoffs? We started with over 100 players. Only 16 are going to make it. Who will have their shot at a Lap Traffic trophy? We'll find out this weekend. But first, it's time for our picks. Alrighty, Josh, Xfinity Series. Who are you going to risk it with?
So I think I still have Noah Gragson left. He's usually good at Daytona because he's won there at least once. So I'm going to go with Noah Gragson.
Noah Gragson. Solid pick. I like it. I am going to assume Ty Gibbs is going to rebound from the chaos this weekend, and I am going to go with the 54 of Ty Gibbs. All right. Cup race. What are you thinking for this one?
So I'm thinking points, since that's what I kind of need to just hold on to.
Sure.
So I'm kind of thinking that maybe I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick, because I think he'll stay in the back a little bit, and then maybe everyone will wreck and he'll be at the end. Give me some points at the end.
Solid strategy. And, you know, like I too had Harvick late available, but I used him at I didn't even use him at Michigan. I don't even remember where I used him at. But yes, no, that's solid strategy there. So here's where I'm at, Josh. I've got William Byron available still. I've got Alex Bowman. I've got Tyler Riddick. I've got Michael McDowell. And I'll tell you, I was going to go with McDowell, but I think he is going to find himself in a Stenhouse position to where he is going to over race at some point and maybe get caught up on one. McDowell is one of the best plate racers out there. but I think he's going to really over try to get the win, and I think that might cost him. So I've talked myself out of the 34. I think I am going to roll with the 48 and Alex Bowman this weekend. What do you think about that one?
That's a solid pick. I was taking those guys too that needed a win, but their checkers are records. So.
Absolutely, that's the thing. It's win or bust, and
yeah,
if I was outside the top 16, I might have rolled with that, but I just need to cruise control my way onto the playoff grid. That's all I'm worried about. So I'm with you there.
That's my thinking exactly.
Yes. All right. Well, Josh, listen, man, great to have you on the show. Best of luck to you in the playoffs, and who knows, maybe we'll get you back on here before this thing's all said and done.
Okay, thank you.
All right, man, take care. We'll see you.
You too.
Bye. All right, Lab Traffic Nation, that is going to do it for episode 289. Make sure you check out the website, thelabtrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lab Traffic PC. Huge thanks to Steve Letarte, Aaron Studwell, Josh Rolfe for calling in. I'll see what I can get lined up for next week. I'll be here next week. I promise you that. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Make sure you tune in each and every week to the Lab Traffic Podcast. See ya!